I was the heir to a $1 billion fortune, but I chose a life of poverty and obscurity, all to support Ava's career, enduring countless humiliations and breaking my family's rules for her. Yet to protect a famous actor, she didn't hesitate to paint me as a psycho stalker, letting me and my family get doxxed and harassed online, offering only a casual, dismissive apology. It wasn't until I appeared on a dating reality show as the powerful heir I truly was that she lost her composure and demanded answers, never realizing that the one who was always being sacrificed was me. To be with my girlfriend, I gave up my inheritance. I spent my days at networking events and schmoozing with her, pinching every penny, all to help her claw her way to the top of the Hollywood ladder. But to cover for another man's scandal, she made me the fall guy. The entire internet was tearing me apart. In that moment, I finally saw her for who she really was, and I ended it. We met again on a dating reality show. The host's voice boomed with excitement. Introducing the CEO of Sterling Corporation, James Sterling. The moment I walked in, I saw the smile shatter on Ava's face. She demanded to know why I broke our promise, but I just gave a small, cold smile. To hell with that stupid promise. Spotted Gen Z's hottest rising starlet getting cozy with a mystery man late into the night. I'll be revealing her identity in 30 minutes. Stay tuned. I immediately zoomed in on the picture. I confirmed the mystery man was me, and the rising starlet was none other than Ava, my girlfriend since high school. I was about to call her, but it was too late. Her fans, with eyes like hawks, had already identified her in the photo. Just then, a text from Ava popped up on my iMessage. Stay out of it. No matter what happens next, don't get involved. I didn't understand at first, but then I saw her official statement, and it all made sense. Ava's team released a statement claiming the man in the photo was a deranged fan. They said he'd been stalking her for weeks, his obsession driving him to mental instability. That night, he had even forced his way into her home to avoid a bigger scandal, and since he was just a fan, Ava had chosen to handle it privately. The comments section exploded. So, he's a psycho stalker? That's disgusting. Ava is way too kind. If that were me, I'd have called the cops and had him thrown in jail. Who is this guy? Girls, let's find out who he is and expose him so everyone knows to stay away. The internet sleuths were as efficient as ever. In no time, my name, phone number, and current address were plastered all over the web. A flood of hateful DMs and comments poured in. Calling me some nobody trying to get with a star was one of the kinder remarks. People started going after my old university, even my family. I forced myself to keep scrolling, my chest tight with a suffocating anger, my hands shaking. But how many of these keyboard warriors knew this was all a calculated move by Ava? She manufactured her own scandal and threw her boyfriend under the bus, all to create a diversion from the A-list actor Ethan and his own brewing casting couch controversy. I knew she was planning something, but I never imagined it would be this. How romantic of her, willing to sacrifice me for another man. As the online hate against me intensified, the negative press surrounding Ethan quietly faded away. Only then did Ava finally seem to remember the boyfriend she had so completely used. She called me. James, are you okay? Please don't be mad. I had no choice. You know, my new series with Ethan is about to premiere. We can't have any scandals right now. Just consider this a favor for my career. Ava rambled on, terrified I might mess up her carefully laid plans. She ended the call by brushing me off with a quick, "I'll make it up to you at dinner sometime," and then hung up before I could respond. I sank back into the sofa, the leather groaning softly. Closing my eyes, a wave of profound exhaustion and emptiness washed over me. But what was there to say? This wasn't the first time this had happened. At first, I used to argue, to push back. But Ava would always just smile and say, "I'm doing it for our future." Ava, when you say our future, do you mean yours and mine? Or yours and Ethan's? Our date night, she bailed on me again. I had made her favorite chicken soup from scratch and waited from morning until night, reheating it in the kitchen again and again. All I got was a careless iMessage late that night. "So sorry, got buried in work and totally forgot." But a post from a gossip account told a different story. She was out at a networking dinner with Ethan, promoting some hit dating show. The show was called Three Little Words. Their fans flooded the comments. The perfect couple. That psycho stalker from before was so gross. Seeing all that, how could I not get it? Before, nobody really shipped Ava and Ethan. But now, with me as the infamous psycho, I was the perfect stepping stone to make them look good together. Their fan bases united overnight, shipping them with a vengeance. Just then, a message popped up. It was an invitation from the producers of Three Little Words. They wanted me to join the show as a civilian contestant. It was painfully obvious they just wanted to use me to stir up drama. I didn't say yes right away. I was worried that if I acted rashly, I'd ruin her whole scheme. Let me think about it, I replied, figuring I should talk to her first. But she never gave me the chance. During that period, she didn't even bother coming home. She was rushing off to the Starlight Gala in Hollywood. Amid a storm of flashing cameras, Ava emerged from a limo on Ethan's arm. Standing side by side, they looked like the perfect couple. They only had eyes for each other. I watched the live stream on my phone, staring at the woman who was once the center of my world, but now felt like a stranger. I realized I barely knew her anymore. The only thing that remained the same was that slightly forced smile. She used to be so shy she could barely look me in the eye. Every time I took her hand, her face would flush a deep crimson. Back then, all she dreamed of was making it big. On our first anniversary, she got drunk, cupped my face in her hands, and slurred, "When I'm a huge star, I'm going to tell the entire world that you're the man who stood behind me." In that moment, my heart pounded in my chest as fireworks exploded in the sky above us. Now, I was just her psycho stalker, some loser to the public, an insignificant footnote in the story of her life. My phone buzzed incessantly. It was another breaking news alert from that same gossip account. A knot of dread formed in my stomach. Source: Starlet A and actor E rumored to be living together. I checked the timestamp. It was posted on our 7th anniversary. That was the night Ava told me she had a late shoot and couldn't come home. So that was her late shoot. The feeling of betrayal was suffocating. It felt like a vice was crushing my chest, making it hard to breathe. The woman I'd loved for 7 years had just stabbed me in the heart. I couldn't live this humiliating, pathetic life anymore. I forced myself to stop contacting her. The pathetic part is, it took her almost a week to remember she even had a boyfriend. She rushed home, and when she saw I was still there, she visibly relaxed. For a second, my own tension eased, and I let myself believe that maybe she did care just a little. But in the next breath, she crushed that hope. "Did you post this?" she demanded, shoving her phone in my face. On the screen was a comment on a TikTok video. "The stalker is actually Ava's real boyfriend. He worked his ass off to support her dream, but she cheated on him. Once she got her claws into Ethan, she kicked her old boyfriend to the curb." The comment was spot on. I'd worked myself to the bone since college to help her make it. I drank until I was sick, schmoozing with low-level producers to get her connections. I lived on ramen, so I could buy her designer clothes and bags, saving every last dollar for her. I sat on the couch and looked up at her. Is there a single word in that comment that isn't true? Ava froze, and it took her a moment to realize I was serious. "James, are you jealous?" She finally seemed to remember the rumors swirling about her and Ethan. She quickly tried to explain it away, saying they were just running lines, that the paparazzi had twisted everything. "You don't believe me, James? I don't care if other people don't, but you?" Her eyes welled up with tears. She was draped head to toe in designer labels. Even the scrunchie in her hair was some expensive brand that shimmered under the cheap light bulb of my tiny, run-down apartment. She looked ridiculously out of place. "Running lines?" I scoffed, my voice dangerously low. "Were you running lines in his bed?" The veins on my hands bulged, and I could feel the rage rising in my throat, but I still kept my voice down, not wanting to scare her. "Ava, when you were in bed with him, did it cross your mind for even 1 second that it was our 7th anniversary?" "James," that day, Ava cried out, cutting me off. I'd never seen her so flustered. "How can you think that of me?" she said. I admit, I was wrong to hide our relationship from everyone. She nodded, then immediately deflected. "But I'm a public figure now. My boyfriend needs to come from a good family. He can't be someone like you. She gestured around my apartment, her finger landing on my frayed, worn-out couch. You're just like this couch. I wanted to get rid of it for ages, but you're too cheap to buy a new one, and you won't let me. Every time I look at it, I'm reminded of how things used to be, and I can't bring myself to toss it. But I can't exactly explain that to my fans. She lowered her voice for the final blow. I think we need a break. And with that, she turned and walked out the door without a second glance. Of course, she didn't see the single tear that finally slid down my cheek. The room felt empty. I let out a hollow laugh, full of self-loathing. The irony was, I was a goddamn heir to a fortune. What Ava didn't know is that I'm a Sterling, the famous Sterling family. But we have a family rule. If you choose love over duty, you're cut off. You have to make it on your own. If you want the family's power and influence, you have to accept an arranged marriage. I never told Ava any of this. I didn't want to pressure her. My father called me a fool, said I was blinded by love, and that I'd end up regretting it. My mother warned me, that girl, she might not be willing to struggle with you while you're trying to make it. But I didn't listen. I threw myself into our relationship, no matter the cost. I worked myself to the ground, swallowing my pride, smiling for my boss, and entertaining clients. Ava will never know that to help her land an endorsement deal with Zanetti, I broke my own rule and went home to beg my parents. I knelt in the family chapel all night until I collapsed from a fever and had to be hospitalized. Drip, drip. The sound of the leaky faucet pulled me from my thoughts, a constant reminder of how broken everything was. A voice message from Ava lit up my phone. James, I was a little harsh earlier. I'm free tomorrow. I didn't forget our anniversary. With just a few sentences, she tried to smooth everything over, as if her cruel words had never been spoken. But I couldn't just forget. I picked up my phone, opened the invitation from 3 little words, and hit accept. If a rich heir was what Ava wanted, then that's exactly what she was going to get. I'd finally get to ask her, am I good enough for you now? But before my plan could even begin, I was hit with another blow. A buddy I hadn't heard from in ages suddenly texted me, James, you idiot. How long are you going to let that girl play you before you finally dump her? He followed it up with an audio file. That familiar, sinking feeling returned. I played the recording. The first voice I heard was Ava's, chillingly calm. Of course I'm going to land a real heir. Someone with power, money, connections. I can't get where I want to go without that. Another voice, one I recognized as her sister Hannah's, asked, so what about your boyfriend now? I held my breath. Whatever. Ava said, her voice casual. James is so easy to manipulate. I can feed him any line and he'll buy it. He can't live without me. I'll just sweet-talk him a little and he'll get over it. As soon as I've locked down Ethan, I'm dumping him for good. It was the same voice that had whispered, I only love you in my ear just a few weeks ago, and I was still wondering how I could be good enough for her. I covered my face and just laughed. A bitter, hollow sound. I couldn't believe how stupid I'd been. I was drowning in her betrayal, and yet a part of me was still wondering if I should try to fix things. That night, I got completely wasted. I woke up with a pounding headache and sent her a single text. We're done. Then I blocked her number and deleted her contact. Right after, I opened my contacts and found the number I hadn't called in years. Mom, Dad, I said, we broke up. I'll accept the arranged marriage. 3 Little Words was a live dating show, and the moment it went on air, the chat exploded with comments. All eyes were on Ava and Ethan, and on America's sweetheart, the actress Sophia Harrison. Sophia came from a good family. She was a talented actress, and her popularity was through the roof. Ava was the second-to-last contestant to be introduced. She gave a polite wave to the audience and the other contestants before taking her seat. But something about her expression was off. Ethan discreetly leaned in to whisper something to her, and the fans who shipped them went wild in the live chat. Once all the celebrity contestants were seated, the director smiled slyly at the camera. We've changed the rules a little for this season, and we've invited a very special mystery guest. The host picked up the cue, his voice booming. Please welcome the CEO of Sterling Corporation, James Sterling. The second I walked onto the set, I saw the composure on Ava's face crumble. I calmly walked to the only empty seat, which happened to be right next to Sophia. I turned to her and gave a slight nod of greeting. The live chat went insane. Sterling Corp? This show has some serious pull. They got the CEO himself? They must have a huge budget. Honestly, he and Sophia look really good together. But others quickly made the connection. Wait a minute, doesn't he look like that psycho stalker guy? The first event was the pairing ceremony. I completely ignored Ava's frantic, desperate stare. Instead, I turned to Sophia. Sophia, I said politely, would you do me the honor of being my partner? My formal tone made Sophia laugh. Playing along for the cameras, she replied, of course, Mr. Sterling. We shared a smile, and the tension in the air seemed to lift. Meanwhile, Ava's eyes were glued to me. She was so distracted, she didn't even hear Ethan call her name 3 times. Ava, he finally snapped, his patience gone. Did you hear a word I said? Oh, what? Ava snapped out of it, forcing an apologetic smile. Sorry, Ethan. I'm not feeling very well today. She raised her voice on the last part, sneaking a glance in my direction. When she saw my expression remained unchanged, the confusion and anger on her face deepened, as if she were the one who had been betrayed. Funny, considering she never once tried to contact me after the breakup. This time, Ava, I wouldn't go easy on her. After the pairing, we all split off to our assigned first dates. I took Sophia to a quiet little dessert cafe in Beverly Hills. She seemed surprised. I thought you were going to. She started. I smiled, finishing her thought. Take you on a tour of my office. She laughed. You're not what I expected. She was right. The Harrison and Sterling families had business ties, and Sophia was the fiancée my parents had arranged for me. I decided not to hide anything. I told her the whole story, including everything with Ava. When I finished, Sophia just shook her head with a small smile. I bet she's kicking herself right now. We talked for hours that afternoon. It's always the ones who love the deepest who get hurt the most, she said. That's when I learned she'd also fought with her family over someone, only to be rejected in the end. That's why she'd finally agreed to our family's arrangement. The more we talked, the more I realized we had so much in common, from our hobbies to our values. Looking at her bright, genuine smile, I started to think that maybe this whole arranged marriage thing wouldn't be so bad after all. But this time, I wouldn't be giving my heart away so easily. The sun was setting as we walked back to the mansion they were using for filming. When we walked in, Ava was sitting in the living room, waiting for me. Her already sour expression curdled the moment she saw Sophia and me laughing together. Well, I won't interrupt, she muttered. Sophia raised an eyebrow, gave my shoulder a light pat, and headed upstairs. I tried to follow, wanting nothing to do with Ava, but she grabbed my sleeve. James, what are you doing here? How could you lie to everyone with a fake identity? A fake identity? I swallowed the bitter taste in my mouth and looked at her. Ava, what kind of person do you really think I am? She avoided my eyes and just plowed ahead with her own narrative. I know you're trying to get back at me, but this isn't a joke. You can't mess with a company like Sterling Corporation. Don't do anything stupid. She sounded like she was worried about me, but she was just scared I'd blow her cover. What makes you so sure? I asked, that my name has nothing to do with the Sterling Corporation. Ava shook her head violently. That's impossible. Maybe she was just trying to convince herself. Or maybe, deep down, she had always believed I could never belong in that world. And stay away from Sophia, she added. I kept my face neutral. We broke up, remember? You don't get to tell me what to do. Ava's brow tightened. James, I've been more than patient. Don't push it. You really think you're good enough for Sophia? What happens when she finds out you're a fraud? Before she could finish, the director's voice echoed from the speakers. Contestants, please gather in the living room for our next challenge. It was some kind of partner game. Sophia and I were surprisingly in sync. We won the game without even really trying. We high-fived, and the bright, happy sparkle in her eyes made my heart do a little flip. And that's a wrap for today, the director announced. Thanks, everyone. You're free to go. The words were barely out of his mouth before Ava was in front of me, blocking my path to the car. James, are you really doing this? She sobbed, tears streaming down her face, making it look like I was the villain. Don't you remember our promise? How could you do this to me? I pried her fingers from my sleeve, one by one. My mind felt crystal clear. My own voice came out cold and sharp. Screw your promise, you bitch. The truth is, even after hearing that recording, a part of me hadn't given up. I was still trying to make excuses for her. Then my buddy sent me a timeline. It showed that the day they hooked up for the first time was... I stared at the date for a long time, feeling like a pathetic clown. That was the exact same day I had knelt in the family chapel all night, begging my parents to help her career. And while I was doing that, she was on set, seducing Ethan. It suddenly made sense why she had rushed to visit me in the hospital when I told her I had a fever. She only came because she thought she had her future secured and could spare a moment for her pathetic, hard-working boyfriend. And I was stupid enough to think my sacrifice had meant something, that she actually loved me. Even when I saw the hickey on her neck, I believed her when she said it was just a mosquito bite. I laughed so hard that night my stomach ached. I laughed until I was crying. After that, I felt nothing for Ava. No hope, and certainly no love. She'd never heard me curse before. She was so shocked she stopped crying and just stared at me, completely frozen. "I'm about to hand it to you, Ava," I said with a smirk. "Your acting has really improved since you got into Hollywood." To my face, it's all, "I love you more than anything, but behind my back, you're scheming to dump me for a real rich guy." Ava's eyes went wide. "You?" Then, as if remembering her role, she shook her head, tears instantly welling up. "It's not like that, James. Let me explain." I shut the car door, cutting off her choked explanation. But she wouldn't give up, banging on the window and screaming my name. "James, listen to me." I leaned back in my seat with a single thought. It was really over between us, and she was far more ruthless than I had ever imagined. That same night, just as public opinion was starting to shift in my favor, another gossip site dropped a bombshell. The headline read, "Dating show civilian and starlet A in secret, toxic relationship." The link led to a silent video clip. It showed Ava, tears streaming down her face, clutching at my sleeve. To any outsider, I looked like a cold, heartless monster. I was starting to like him and Sophia together. Okay, now I just feel bad for Ava. No wonder she wanted to get away from him. She must have known what he was like. Is he trying to get back with her now because he's scared she'll expose him? As expected, her agent's number flashed on my screen almost instantly, but it was Ava's tearful voice on the line. "James, it's me. I'll release a statement to clear things up about that video. But to stop things from getting worse, please just do what I say and quit the show." "Okay." "No," I said flatly. There was a stunned silence on the other end. She clearly hadn't expected me to refuse. "You're just a regular guy with no connections. How are you going to fight the people who leaked that video?" she threatened. "James, you're going to regret this." When she realized she couldn't manipulate me, Ava dropped the victim act and immediately posted a statement on Twitter. "It's true that James and I were once in a relationship, but we broke up a long time ago. It was my mistake not to make it public, and for that, I apologize. As for why James decided to join this show and pursue my respected colleague, Sophia, I honestly don't know. Whatever his reasons, I just hope no one else gets hurt in the process." In a few short sentences, she painted me as a two-timing scumbag who was hung up on his ex while preying on someone new. Before Sophia's fans could even react, Ava's fan base descended on my social media. "Disgusting. Hypocrite. Leave our Ava alone." Some even brought back the old psycho stalker story, twisting it to make it seem like I was harassing her after she broke up with me. My iMessage notifications were blowing up. Aside from a stream of fake concern texts from Ava telling me to quit the show, the only other messages were from my parents and Sophia, asking if I was okay. I sent them all the same reply: "Don't worry." After all, I was still holding the trump card, that recording. Amid the storm of online hate, I finally broke my silence. I posted a single tweet with the caption, "Here's what really happened," and attached the audio file. The internet went into a frenzy. The recording left everyone speechless. I turned off my phone and let Ava's desperate calls go straight to voicemail. The next morning, I woke up to see she'd released a news statement. She denied everything, claiming the audio was just her running lines with her agent and that it had been maliciously edited. She told her fans not to fall for my tricks. But no one was buying it. The comments were brutal. Sure, January. Why are you still lying? Panicking. Ava started a live stream to do damage control. James and I were high school sweethearts, she began, holding up a few old photos of us as proof. But after I started my career, he became more and more controlling. He couldn't stand me doing scenes with other actors. I wasn't famous enough to go public with our relationship, so the tension between us just kept building. The rumors about me and Ethan are completely false. Nothing ever happened. But James refused to understand the pressures of my job and kept demanding we go public. I couldn't handle it anymore, so I ended things. He's been harassing me ever since. He came on this show and used a fake recording to blackmail me into getting back together with him. Her story was so full of holes I was almost impressed. Wasn't she afraid I had more proof that would completely destroy her? Just then, a DM from Ava popped up. If you try to ruin my career, I'll use Ethan's connections to crush you. And don't think your little charade makes you a real Sterling, James. The sudden switch in her tone was jarring. It was a shame. After all these years, I realized I'd never really known her at all. Or maybe the person I knew was long gone. She used to be just a normal girl with a big dream. But the ambition and the fame had twisted her into something else. I decided to play along. I went silent, letting the lies and rumors consume my social media. But I was also preparing a little surprise for Ava. After all, I wasn't just some nobody. With the annual Television Academy Awards just around the corner, an invitation arrived for me, addressed to the heir of Sterling Corporation. The awards ceremony was a glittering, star-studded affair. Ava walked the red carpet on Ethan's arm. A reporter didn't waste any time. Ava, your ex-boyfriend has been completely silent. Do you think that's because the truth is out, or is he planning his next move? Ava had clearly been hoping for a question about her new series. Her smile faltered for a second before she composed herself. I think it's best for everyone if we just part on good terms. Little did she know that phrase, part on good terms, would soon become an internet meme at her expense. The ceremony began. When they announced the award for Best Actress, Ava was visibly tense, her fingers twisting the fabric of her dress. Ethan leaned in to whisper something reassuring, and their fans in the live chat went crazy. Meanwhile, I was waiting backstage. I was presenting the award for Best Actress, and the award for Best Actress goes to Sophia Harrison for her role in Soulmate. Ava's hand clenched the material of her dress, wrinkling the silk. Her eyes were wide with disbelief as she watched Sophia slowly stand up to accept the award. How is this possible? Of course, I knew exactly why she was so shocked. In her mind, that award was hers. After all, she had Ethan pull some strings with the judges just to be sure. Too bad for her. I'd intervened this year to make sure the awards were actually fair. And now, to present the award for Best Actress, please welcome the heir to the Sterling Corporation, James Sterling. There was a loud crash. Ava had jumped to her feet so fast she'd knocked her chair over. The sound echoed through the auditorium. Every head turned to stare at her. She just stared, dumbfounded, as I walked onto the stage. The host quickly tried to recover, getting the show back on track. As I handed the trophy to Sophia, she gave me a surprised look and whispered with a laugh. That was a pretty savage move. A public humiliation for her career and her love life, all in one. She gave me a playful wink, but she totally deserved it. I laughed and offered her my arm, helping her down the stairs in her high heels. The live chat was on fire. They looked so good together. I thought she wanted to part on good terms. Why is she so worked up? Looks like Ava had no idea who he really was. I can only imagine how she's feeling right now. LOL. But the moment that really broke the internet was when they announced the award for Best Actor. The winner was Ethan, and the presenter was, once again, me. The photos of the two of us on stage, sharing a polite but incredibly awkward handshake, went viral instantly. The internet captioned it, iconic moment. Part on good terms versus it's all a misunderstanding. In the end, Ava and Ethan slunk out of the awards ceremony, humiliated. I haven't seen her in person since. She sent me a flood of messages, which I immediately blocked. I knew she must be losing her mind. Meanwhile, things between Sophia and me were slowly heating up, a subtle chemistry growing between us. The hype for the next episode of the dating show was off the charts. The director, capitalizing on the buzz, dropped the new episode right on schedule. This time, Sophia and I were the first to arrive on set. I'd brought her favorite dessert, which I'd made myself. When I gave it to her, her eyes lit up. "You made this?" I nodded. "Wow," she said, "that's incredible." The live chat exploded. "I'm shipping America's sweetheart and the billionaire heir. Just get married already." But Ava couldn't take it anymore. She watched as Sophia and I grew closer, completely ignoring the looks she kept sending my way. Finally, she made her move. "James," she started. After filming Wrapped, she cornered me. She looked pale and was trembling slightly, the picture of fragility. "Are you still mad at me? I was wrong before. I only said those things on Twitter because I thought you liked Sophia, and you know how jealous I can be." I cut her off before she could finish. "Miss Miller," I said, using her last name, "I thought we agreed to part on good terms." The pathetic, vulnerable look she'd put on froze on her face. I turned to leave, but she grabbed my arm again. "James, how can you be so cruel? Have you forgotten everything we went through? All those years we struggled together." She started playing the sympathy card, bringing up the past. She reminded me of the time we ran through a downpour to meet a director for a tiny commercial gig, getting so soaked that we both ended up in the hospital with a fever. We were lying in hospital beds side by side, both on 4 drips, just smiling at each other like idiots. "Have you forgotten that?" she asked. "No, I haven't forgotten," I said. Her eyes lit up, but then I continued. "You're the one who forgot. It's pathetic that you're bringing up the past now. You're only doing this because you found out I'm the sterling heir. I bet you're dying to ask me why I didn't tell you sooner, so you wouldn't have had to waste all that time chasing after other rich guys. You're pathetic, Ava." Her damsel in distress act did nothing for me anymore. She didn't try to stop me again, looking as if my words had physically struck her. My words were harsh, but her trip down memory lane had stirred up old feelings. I went to a bar alone that night, drinking and laughing at my own stupidity. That's where I ran into Sophia. Seeing how drunk I was, she must have guessed what happened. She tried to comfort me, a little awkwardly. "It's okay," she said. "You'll find someone who really loves you." She trailed off, swallowing nervously and sneaking a glance at me. Her words sober me up a little. You still the hair, blinking. Do you have a crush on me?" "No," she said, flustered and blushing. "I just feel sorry for you, okay? Is that a crime?" "But," I scratched my head. "To be honest, I don't really believe in love anymore. The way Ava used to look at me, it was like I was the only person in the world. But by the end, all she saw when she looked at me was what she could get. It's hard to believe she was ever the same person. Time can change a person completely." Sophia seemed to understand my hesitation. She just smiled. "Are you having second thoughts?" Sophia sighed. "I don't know what to say. My first real crush, and he's not even a virgin." I mumbled, "Actually, I am." "What?" she asked. I finished my thought. She was young when we started dating, and I didn't want to push her. Later on, she was never ready, and I never forced it. It's not that I didn't want to, but she always said no. Looking back, she was probably afraid I'd find out she wasn't a virgin either, thanks to Ethan. Sophia stared at me, stunned. "Your self-control is impressive." "But James," she continued, "what I'm trying to say is you shouldn't let one bad relationship stop you from finding a new one. Maybe all that heartbreak was just leading you here to this moment." I'd always known there was a special light in her eyes, but for the first time, I saw my own reflection in them. "Do you want to give this a try?" The words came out before I could stop them. "Yes," I said. On the next episode of the show, the chemistry between Sophia and me was undeniable. The audience noticed immediately. They're definitely a couple now. What happened to Miss Part on good terms? That comment made me realize Ava wasn't there. The director said she called in sick, but I had a feeling she was up to something. And sure enough, halfway through filming, a headline started trending on Twitter. AVA rushed to hospital after suicide attempt. But this time, Most people weren't buying it. The comments were merciless. I thought you wanted to part on good terms. So much for parting on good terms, I guess. The chat was mostly skeptical, but there were clearly paid bots trying to sway public opinion. He moved on to Sophia pretty fast. Typical rich playboy. The comments started to work, and some people actually began to feel sorry for Ava. Sophia suggested I go see her. I agreed, but I insisted she come with me. So when we walked into Ava's hospital room, we were holding hands. Ava was lying in a hospital bed, looking pale and weak, but her face flushed with anger the moment she saw us. "James," she seethed, "do you have to be so cruel?" When I didn't respond, she turned on Sophia. "Miss Harrison, James and I are just having a fight. You don't have to be a part of his little drama." Sophia just smiled, then wrapped her arms around my neck and kissed me on the cheek. "What drama?" she said sweetly. "This is real." Ava froze, staring at us for a few seconds before she started screaming. "Get out! Get out of my room! James, you can't do this to me." As I closed the door behind us, I could see the pure, unadulterated hatred in her eyes. Sophia looked at me, worried. "You need to be careful," she said. "I don't think she's going to give up." She was right. Soon, the attacks turned on Sophia. The internet was suddenly flooded with smear posts, fake rumors, and even photoshopped, obscene images of her. Seeing what she'd done, I knew Ava had finally snapped. She had crossed the line. I wasn't going to hesitate any longer. I released everything, all the proof of her affairs with producers and investors during our relationship. While my team worked to clear Sophia's name, my lawyers issued a statement announcing we would be pressing charges against everyone involved in the smear campaign. Soon after, the police came for Ava. They took her from the hospital for questioning. Her actions constituted a serious case of defamation and harassment, a clear violation of Sophia's rights. Sophia's team did a good job of shielding her from the worst of it, so she wasn't too shaken. But she was surprised by how far I'd gone. "You completely ruined her," she said, a little stunned. I reached out and gently brushed a strand of hair from her face, my voice firm. "The only reason I didn't do this sooner was for the sake of what we used to have. But she came after you. That I will never forgive." "Sophia, don't ever worry that I still have feelings for her," I said, taking her hand and placing it over my heart. "This spot has been empty for a long time. Now it's only for you." Sophia's smile was bright and genuine. "I was never worried about that. In fact, seeing you do this, it makes me like you even more. A lot of guys are terrible to their exes. But you, James, I trust you, and I trust your feelings for me." We smiled at each other. After that, we went public with our relationship, making it official on social media. Sophia promised she would always make me feel secure, and we agreed that our careers and each other would always be a priority. Ava was sentenced to 2 years in prison for defamation and harassment. Before she was transferred, she asked to see me one last time. When I saw her, she wasn't wearing any makeup. For a second, she looked like the girl I used to know. But the moment she spoke, I knew nothing had changed. She was still playing the victim. "Do you remember that time you got wasted at a work dinner trying to close a deal?" she began. "You were so drunk. I had to take drinks for you until I was sick too. We both ended up throwing up in the bathroom all night. You told me that night that you were going to marry me, that you'd give me the biggest wedding," she said, tears rolling down her cheeks. "James, how did we get here? The real reason you came with me that night was to network for yourself, not to help me," I said calmly. "Stop the act, Ava." Her nails dug into her palms. "I made one mistake. Why can't you just forgive me?" "It was one mistake." I laughed. "One mistake? Do you even remember how you got that Zanetti endorsement? Do you have any idea how that really happened?" "I spent that entire night on my knees in my family's chapel, begging my parents to pull strings for you." "And where were you?" Ava's face went blank, her eyes widening slightly. "But didn't Ethan get that for me?" I laughed again, a bitter, ironic sound. All my sacrifice, and she thought it was a prize she'd won in bed with another man. She refused to believe it, her hands gripping the bars of the visitor's window. "If you had just told me who you were from the beginning, none of this would have happened." I shook my head. "People don't just become bad overnight, Ava. Even if I'd told you who I was from the very beginning, the outcome would have been the same. It just would have been a much uglier journey to get here." James! James! She screamed after me, her voice raw. I didn't look back. I just turned and walked away without a moment's hesitation. This time, I had finally cut ties with my past. This isn't just a story about getting even. It's a wake-up call about self-worth. It reminds us that a person's greatest asset is never their family fortune or background, but their own inviolable dignity and a clear sense of who they are. When a relationship makes you feel small, walking away isn't cruel. It's an act of saving yourself.